Chapter 124. The Terrifying Huang Yan 2. Xu Qing felt that today's event was extremely complicated. There were 3 reasons buried within. The first one was that the shopkeeper wanted to teach him a lesson, but it was clearly just a lesson that could be resolved. The second was that Huang Yan seemed to have intentionally dragged the matter onto himself. His motive was unknown. For the third reason, the merfolk youth's arrival could hardly be considered a coincidence. Before he understood the entire situation, Xu Qing didn't wish to act rashly. The merfolk youth who entered the shop swept his gaze across the others in the shop with a hint of disdain in his eyes. In reality, joining the 7 Blood Eyes wasn't his original intention. Although the merfolk race wasn't large, his status in the race was extremely high, which had caused him to develop an arrogant personality. This was especially so when he faced the human race. He looked down on them from the bottom of his heart. As for today's matter, after the department received the report, the Black Division should have been the one in charge. However, because it involved a member of the Black Division, the case was handed to the Earth Division to avoid the whole Black Division from being suspected. After the merfolk youth found out that the case was about Xu Qing, he recalled the fight for credit and disgust he felt back then, so he personally accepted the task and led the team over. He pointed at Xu Qing and Huang Yan. Since they are the main culprits in the diamond sex theft case and have all the stolen goats, and one of them is a member of my homicide department, let's bring them to the division for interrogation. When Huang Yan, who was at the side, saw that the people of the homicide department still couldn't distinguish right from wrong, his anger completely erupted. He ran between Xu Qing and the merfolk youth and glared at the merfolk youth as he let out a low bellow. "Are you blind? Are my things stolen goats?" As he spoke, he took out his storage bag and shook it in front of everyone. Immediately, one material after another poured out, piling up into a small mountain of several hundred items. Most of the various mutated beasts' materials in the pile came from the same source as the bones and feathers. Clearly, they were obtained from a mutated beast. When the surrounding people saw this, they all sucked in a breath of air and their eyes widened. They were all people who knew their stuff and knew that the value of these materials was probably several thousand spirit stones. This was especially so when they noticed that Huang Yan actually had a storage bag. As such, all of their eyes revealed a strange glint. "You guys said that my things are stolen goats. Are these all stolen goats? Can the diamond sect afford them? This is an entire F***ing Mindran beast. I gave its most precious part, the skull, to my senior sister. But you guys actually said that my things are stolen goats." As soon as the little fatty spoke, the gazes of everyone in the surroundings flickered. Xu Qing also looked at those items and instinctively took a deep breath. He knew that Huang Yan was rich, but he was still shocked by the materials in his storage bag. The merfolk youth glanced at the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper felt the headache coming on. He didn't expect the homicide department to be so fast and disrupt his rhythm. At this moment, he had a look of hesitation on his face, but since the arrow was already on the bowstring, he had no choice but to shoot. He braced himself and spoke. "The diamond sex report mentioned this wine beast." Seeing that the situation was developing in an unbelievable direction, Xu Qing fell silent and calmly observed. "The skull is also stolen goats. Did you give it to your senior sister? So there's a female criminal who helped to fence the stolen goats. Why aren't you guys capturing them? Take them back and interrogate them carefully. Capture that female criminal as well and bring her to justice." The merfolk youth calmly spoke. The 4 team members behind him immediately walked toward Xu Qing and Huang Yan. One of them moved closer to Huang Yan while the other 3 headed straight for Xu Qing. "You're the criminal. Your entire family are criminals." Huang Yan jumped up, rolled up his sleeves, and rushed over angrily. 1. Xu Qing stared coldly at the 3 people walking over. He originally didn't want to act rashly before he understood the entire situation. But now that the other party was being overbearing, he lifted his right hand and waved it. Immediately, the droplets of water in the surroundings erupted with intense pressure. They formed a suppressive force, causing the expressions of the members of the 3 approaching people to change drastically. Shock appeared in their eyes, and their bodies trembled violently, unable to take a single step forward. Although they had worked with Team 6 to capture Night of members back then, they hadn't seen Xu Qing make a move with their own eyes. They had only heard a little about it from others. Now that they had personally experienced it, their hearts were in turmoil. resisting law enforcement. The merfolk youth smiled, revealing a mouthful of sharp teeth. He then took a step forward, and his speed directly caused a sonic boom in the shop. In an instant, he appeared in front of Xu Qing and lifted his right hand to grab Xu Qing's neck. His fingernails were sharp, and emitted a cold light. If it was someone else, it would be very difficult for them to react at this speed. However, the instant he got close, a black iron stick appeared in front of his palm. Although his speed was fast, Xu Qing was even faster. As he waved the iron stick in his hand, he bent his right knee and ruthlessly kicked at the merfolk youth. Amidst the rumbling, the mermaid youth's right hand quickly retracted, and his right foot bent, using his knee to strike Xu Qing's knee. Xu Qing's body swayed slightly. As for the merfolk youth, he retreated 5 steps. When he lifted his head, his eyes revealed a bloodthirsty excitement. Interesting, a rumbling sound came from his body, and the fluctuations of the 9th level of Qi condensation spread out. Behind him, a malevolent-looking merfolk phantom holding a black fork appeared. This wasn't the transformation of Qi blood into shadows, but the innate power of his bloodline. At this moment, as he erupted forth with power, his body charged out once more, instantly approaching Xu Qing. He then directly clashed with Xu Qing in the shop. The two of them exchanged blows 7 or 8 times in an instant. Every time, there would be a loud bang and the impact echo, causing the shop to be affected. Fortunately, there was an array formation here, so it didn't collapse. However, this scene still caused the expressions of the people who were dodging left and right to reveal intense light. Their Sostron, Ace, a member of the merfolk race, the leader of Team 3, possesses the innate bloodline power of the merfolk race. From the looks of it, his combat strength is comparable to a disciple at the perfected Qi condensation realm of a large sect. As for this Xu Qing, he's also so astonishing. Previously, there were rumors that an ordinary member of the Black Division killed an enemy leader of the Night Dove. I think it must be Xu Qing. Hearing everyone's words, Huang, who was dodging at the side, blinked. There was a hint of a smile that didn't look like a smile on his face, but it quickly dissipated and turned into a furious appearance as he roared. Xu Qing, you can do it. Kill this fish. He dares to frame us. Kill him. We'll eat fish meat tonight. At this moment, the merfolk youth retreated once again. There was a smear of blood at the corner of his mouth, and the bloodthirsty glint in his eyes grew even more intense. Fresh blood made him even more excited. Moreover, he still had trump cards that he hadn't used yet. He grinned and raised his hands to perform a series of hand seals. However, he didn't notice Xu Qing's shadow under his feet. Xu Qing's expression had been calm from the start. At this moment, he narrowed his eyes and killing intent flashed in them. Just when he was about to attack, a few powerful auras suddenly spread out and locked onto this place. You guys just watch. As the merfolk youth laughed sinisterly, the auras quieted down. However, an even more terrifying aura appeared outside the shop. With a boom, it directly suppressed the few auras that had locked onto this place earlier. This scene caused the merfolk youth to be stunned. When he turned his head to take a look, his expression instantly changed drastically. Xu Qing also lifted his head. When he sensed the aura outside, his eyes abruptly narrowed. The figure appeared in everyone's sight, and a cold female voice rang out from outside the shop. Just now, who said that my things were stolen goods? Her voice was like a cold wine, instantly freezing everyone in the shop, regardless of whether it was the merfolk youth or the shopkeeper of the 6th peak. All of them couldn't help but tremble when they heard this sentence. They couldn't help but look at the person walking over. It was a woman. Her body was tall and muscular with bronze-colored skin that exuded a sense of toughness. Her long hair fluttered in the wind, but there was no grace to it. Instead, there was a hint of wildness. She wore a dark purple doused robe and was dragging a huge black sword that was 5 feet long. As she walked over, the tip of the sword drew sparks on the ground, cutting open the floor tiles and the threshold. This scene caused everyone to gasp. It was unknown who was the first to bend over. At the next moment, everyone lowered their heads and cupped their fists respectfully. Greetings, Second Highness. Greetings, Second Highness. Greetings, Second Highness. The person who came was someone who was like the eldest princess of the 7th peak. She had the right to decide the life and deaths of the Piedmont disciples. She even had the right to remove the title of Cur disciple. She was the second personal disciple of the peak lore. Senior sister, You're finally here. Huang excitedly crawled out from his hiding spot and ran over.